I don't know of anybody my age who started out life wanting to be a sexuality educator. Clearly, it evolved. I mean, I grew up when it was the women's movement, and, you know, all we wanted to talk about was sex anyway. And then I was going to be an English teacher. So this 9th grade boy in my class waited around after school one day and was hemming and hawing, and first he wanted to know if I wanted to buy pot. And I said, no, thank you. And I was so proud of myself because I didn't freak out, and I knew I wasn't going to report him to the principal. But I didn't know he was testing the water. So then he said, well, then do you know of a place that'll sell rubbers and not the kind that you wear on your feet to young boys? Because at that time it was illegal for anybody under 18 in New York State to buy condoms. So I didn't know what to say. So I stalled and I said, well, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on? And he said, yes, this weekend is my church retreat. So I said, I don't know, but let me see what I can do. And I went home and I called Planned Parenthood. I said, look, you're the only resource I know. What can you do for this young boy? And they said, no one's ever called us with that before. Because clearly it was before male involvement projects. It was, and they said, okay, we checked and send him here. I think he had to take 3 buses there. He was very appreciative the next day. He was smiling on Monday. I didn't want to know. I mean, now I might respond differently, but not then. So what I realized is, and I know we only have 18 minutes, is that it's not a bad idea to talk with our own sexual selves. And in thinking about doing this talk, am aware of how easy it is for us to criticize ourselves as opposed to celebrate ourselves. So what I want to do, the next slide, Tish, thank you. Everybody knows this? WIFM, what's in it for me? At the end of this 18 minutes, I want you to have a different way of looking about sex and sexuality in a more positive, celebratory way. And let's see if we can do this together, because it's hard to do by yourself, but not impossible. Okay. So I told one of the students who's now in college, I had her when she was in high school, and I told her what I was talking about today. And I said, I want to talk about the disconnect, about how we get information about our bodies, we get information about our feelings, we get information about our sexual selves, and we end up thinking about how things should be instead of, and then what we end up doing is measuring ourselves against the should, and we don't meet up. So we end up feeling bad about ourselves. So she said, it happens so often, it's sad. As a young woman in the world we live in today, we constantly need to be reassured that we're just as good as them. Media plays a huge part. It was so compelling that I cut and pasted, and I didn't use her real name. But to need this reassurance that we're just as good as them, who is them? It's us. It's us. It is our sexual selves. And how can we celebrate that? She's smart, capable, lovely, beautiful. She shouldn't have to feel less than. But that's true of all of us. Okay. So, sexual ignorance is not bliss. So now we have a lot of information. You can go online, you can find out answers to questions. I've been answering questions. Someone knows that I worked and started with the team, Go Ask Alice, which is the oldest online interactive website that answers questions about health, and sexual health is a big part of that. So I've answered questions for years, and let's go on. We'll come back to this. Oh, and then I realized, because this is a TED Talk, some of you might want statistics. So I put one there. Okay. I didn't, really, I want to show you I'm professional too. 100% of us are sexual beings. We don't remove our Lego parts, our genitals, or parts of our brain, and leave it in the top drawer next to the socks when we go to work or when we go to a talk like this. This is clearly part of us, our sexual selves. Okay, let's go on. Oh, this is another statistic. This I'd like you to be aware of, that infants have sexual responses. It doesn't mean they think about sex. It means their bodies respond. So you know newborns who are boys have erections, and infant girls will also lubricate, and that's been well documented. So, and also our sexual selves continue throughout our lives, even when we don't have partners, even when there's illness, even when we're in nursing homes and don't even have privacy sometimes. Our bodies still are responding. We are pleasure-seeking creatures, and that doesn't end. I gave a talk in a nursing home recently, and if I had, and I passed around silk scarves for people to be sensual, if I had lube and vibrators, I would have made a fortune. Okay, next. Now, this is a different statistic. I brought this because I thought it's interesting for a lot of reasons. This is Kinsey's famous 93%. 93% of men masturbated at some point in their lives. Now, when I teach or when I talk, I look at you. I can't read minds. Some people say the other 7% are lying. Maybe the other 7% know how. But one of the questions that people worry about, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, is do you know why men are so reliable when it comes to orgasm as opposed to women?
Have to be.
Because they've had so much practice. Thank you for being brave. Thank you. Okay, next slide. Okay, so 10 years old, I'm walking home with my friends at school, and then they decide they're not going to walk home with me, they're going to walk ahead. Why are you going to walk ahead? Well, Judy, you don't know the facts of life. I said, yes, I do. They said, what are they? Blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, they said, she doesn't know. And they kept walking ahead of me, and these were my pals and buddies. So I wanted to know why my friends weren't walking with me on this day. But what I went home and said was, Mom, what are the facts of life? She was not a happy camper. She said, we'll have to talk to your dad when he comes home. I said, Dad, what are the facts of life? He said, oh, it's things like you have to pay bills and you have to get insurance. I knew that wasn't quite right. So then I thought I was brilliant because I figured out from the little bit that I learned was that there were sperm in a man's hands. That if you took a microscope and you looked at a man's hands really carefully, you would see sperm there. And how did I get that? Because the message I got about sex was, don't let a boy touch you there. Why? What's he going to touch me with besides his hands? And why not? Because I would get pregnant. That's why. So that's what I figured out. This boy I already talked about. So over the years, when I taught college, the first day I would always say, when I taught human sexuality courses, what do you want to know at the end of the semester? What questions do you have about sex? And I said, I guarantee I will answer them during the semester, and if I don't, we'll read the questions the last class, and then you'll be able to get your answers. So, wait, come back for a second. So I've collected them for years, each semester, several classes, and I gave a talk at a conference, a sexuality conference, about the 10 most common questions. And then there was a journal that asked me to write an article based on my research. So what happened was, I wrote this article, 10 most popular questions, gave the answers, and the editor didn't accept my article. Why? He said, Judith, these are the same old questions. I said, that's the point. So here, if I were to say, what are the top 10 questions, and probably I've had these, you may have these. Let's just see what they are. Is my penis too small? Why don't I orgasm the right way or at all? How often do couples have sex? What if I have interest, feelings for, fantasies about men, women, or both? Is masturbation okay? Does sex have to hurt? What about oral and anal sex? Or I want more or less sex than my partner. My sexual energy is waning or gone, and my body doesn't respond the same way. Would you agree these are pretty common questions? Yes. Right, I didn't make them up. You know, this is what people want to know. All right, so I would like to come back to them in a minute. But if you were to look at the question behind the question, what do people really want to know? Yes, somebody heard my talk before. Okay, am I okay? Am I okay? And what's the answer? Of course, yes. You don't have to, we don't have to measure ourselves against anybody else and fall short. This is who we are. Let's go, let's go. No, let's go forward and see what I've got. Oh, so I was thinking about Dr. Albert Ellis's quote, I will not should on myself today. We should do this, we should have sex more often, we should have sex less often, we should be masturbating more, I should have orgasms in this way. We can should ourselves to death. And it's no fun. So, let's see what else did it. Okay, so one of the best ways that I found of looking at the universe of sexual issues, questions, problems is developed by Dr. Jack Annan. He was brilliant. He died a few years ago in his 80s. But he developed this implicit model. So if this is the universe of all the issues, the sexual questions, this group at the top can be helped just by giving people permission, which also includes giving ourselves permission. Permission to be sexual, permission not to be sexual, permission to masturbate, permission not to masturbate, permission to fantasize, permission not to fantasize, permission to get erections or not get erections. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. And then all these issues, problems, concerns, worries go away, and you have a smaller universe of problems and concerns. This is the limited information, the facts, the statistics, like I gave before. Wait, I'm getting a little dry. Nobody ever says that in a real TED Talk. I didn't say, where's the lube? Okay, limited information. As women get older, they get drier. As men get older, their erections are not they don't pop up. It takes a little longer. They need more direct stimulation. Need is a funny word, but they benefit from. Okay, you got the limited information? The statistics or the facts. The clitoris is the woman's sex organ. Can you go ahead? And again, here, it's the ice cube, the iceberg I want you to see. This is part of the facts. The clitoris, of course, this is an iceberg. And this has 2 bumps. Usually women don't have 2. The clitoris is like a subterranean nerve network. It has as many nerve endings in it as the penis. Those are facts that if people knew might be helpful. Okay, but I love this picture anyway. Okay, can we go back to the implicit model? Okay, great. So you've got the limited information? Okay, and then this can disappear. Then you have specific suggestions. I remember giving one of my friends a safer sex kit because the students all made safer sex kits and had lube and condoms in them and directions. She said, what's this? I said, it's what I do. She said, I didn't need any of this. I said, that's all right, it's just what I do. Finally, she called me 2 weeks later and said, Jude, you got any more of that Jiffy Lube? So specific suggestions. You're a little bit of dry, a little dab will do you. Some of you may be old enough to remember that ad for Brill Cream. Okay, specific suggestions. And then these people disappear, all of their issues disappear, and it's just this group at the bottom that might need a referral. It says intensive therapy, but they might need a little bit more work. Well, of course, anybody who does this kind of work uses this too. So I just love this model. Okay, next. This is what I thought was interesting, because do you remember that song? And some of you, it's cultural, I know, some of us do. What's missing? What's between our shoulders and our knees? That's what I'd like to know. So, one of the things I've done, because women grow up, women don't have genital pride. Men have a penis, they have a name for it. Dick, Richard, what else do they call it? Johnson, right, Long John Silver, on and on and on. Okay, and women don't necessarily have genital pride. So I've done, salons is one word, but I've had parties where we've made vulva pillows. Honestly, so I'll pass these around too. These are made by real women. I just want you to know. This one looks a little like Don King. Here, take a look. Pass them around. Pass them around. Now, it's a way, oh, here's another one. I don't want you to miss out. It's another way to develop pride, personal pride. So I gave a talk to a group of women who had had cancer. And I said, okay, how many of you feel comfortable, pretty comfortable with your bodies now, after? And not very many women, as you can imagine, raised their hands. I said, all right, let's really talk now. How many of you felt comfortable with your body before you had cancer? And not very many women raised their hands. And that's the point. That's, again, the ruler that we measure ourselves against. And it's just so sad to me, because we don't have to do it. So, you don't have a uterus anymore? Get one. Get one. It's soft. It's lovely. Here, men and their prostate, I don't want you to feel left out. We have a prostate to pass around. And the other thing is, what is, in fact, the sexiest part of your body? Here it is. Here it is. So that's for your reading, your touching pleasure. Okay. Oh, we saw that. So what I said to myself, how do I end this? You know, how can we take the risk to appreciate the way the video that we saw before, to appreciate this day, to appreciate the body we have, to appreciate the feelings that we have, to appreciate the partners that we have, or if we don't have a partner, I think about my Aunt May, who said, don't say I'm alone, say I'm alone. And I'll never forget that, never. Okay, take the risk. Giggle, so you have a little fun. What else? Celebrate who you are and how you respond. You don't have a partner, have sex by yourself. You do have a partner, have sex with them, by yourself. It doesn't matter, just to enjoy. But sexually speaking, are you okay? Well, the answer is yes, of course you are. Of course we are. And then it's my conclusion. It's my gift to you and to myself. Did I do it in 18 minutes?
Less.
Less. All right. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.